introduction of whom I consider a very dear friend, Shauna Theobald. She has been so gracious and kind and mentored me as we've kind of been colleagues here at UVU, but also at the business school, and her office is just right outside. So as I walk by, I always look in and see what she's doing. And then Mickey O'Connor, the assistant dean, or associate dean probably here, told me that Shauna was leaving, and I was heartsick because I thought, she's such an advocate for us, and she really sees things straight. She knows how it is. She knows what women go through. She's been there. She's had amazing experience in startups and those kinds of things. So her title is hard won. So you're the director of the Institute for Entrepreneurship.
Yes.
So that's a big deal, and that's a big deal for a female to be in that role. And Shauna is one who does it with style and class. She looks the part. She's one of the most gracious communicators I've ever seen. If you look at things that she writes, she's somebody to emulate. She's a good example of that kind of thing. And also, I wanted you to have a look at her LinkedIn account, because I feel like it's really an important thing. If you're going to be a woman in business, you need to have a LinkedIn account. You need to know that professional people are seeing you and endorsing you. And it's a little bit like maybe what Facebook used to be on a social level, but it's for business and corporates and other people that want to know who the professional you is. So you'll notice that she doesn't have a picture of her at spring break, right? You know, she's not doing that. Look at this professional picture. Look at the way she dressed. Look at the collar. Everything tells you she's about business. She's not a man. She's a competent woman. And she just does it right. So these are all good examples for us to have. Now over on this side, I can take the red marker and I can cross off all these things. These are areas of specialty for her. Strategic planning, business modeling, entrepreneurial ed, financial projections, and team building. Do you think she's a valuable kind of person to have on your team? Would you want to be a part of something she's a part of? I definitely would. I was so impressed with her that I begged her to be on our coordinating council for the Women's Success Center, and she supported us in that way. So this is what she writes. I don't know if you can read this. I'm fascinated by the entrepreneurial process. Utah Valley is a hotbed for tech startups. Utah is ranked #1 in so many of the national lists of best places to live, do business, start a company, etc., etc. So that explains a little bit why Shauna's here and how she's had some of the experiences that she had. I've worked with numerous startups, and with the help of hindsight and mentors, and more clearly identifying proven patterns of success. Ooh, I want proven patterns of success.
They're up there.
I like that. As well as patterns of failure. Yeah, I'd like to avoid those too. Thank you. My professional goal is to help tech startups incorporate patterns of success into their company DNA. We need to bring resources, knowledge, and people together in collaborative ways to build an entrepreneurial ecosystem. Does that give you a feeling of security and peace that she knows what she's doing? Is that one of the best elevator speeches that you've ever heard? I mean, honestly, if you're trying to tell somebody who you are and what you do in less than 200 words, she nailed it. I would suggest to you that you want to have a succinct little paragraph that speaks volumes the way that that one does about success and what you could accomplish. So again, somebody to model after. So if I could please introduce my dear friend, Shauna Theobald. Shauna, the time is yours. We're happy to bring up your PowerPoint. Thank you so much for being with us.
Great. My goodness, thank you. And let's give Ann a hand, because she puts the fab in fabulosity. I'm just saying, wow. Thank you for that introduction. I appreciate that. And I'm always so glad to be here with you women. And some of you we've met before, have we not? Yeah. Always good to be in front because you can see the faces and you get a little nervous, but you're all so friendly looking that, there we go. So my name, and we've had such a nice introduction and so forth, thank you. So today the title is Getting from Here to There, or anybody taken algebra? So you've seen this before, right? Function.
This is what we're doing all the time.
Yeah, so this is...
I breathe and live this.
You breathe and live this, okay. So this is x times the function of x equals y. Now that's pretty simple, and it's, supposed to be big mathematical, but those are variables, and we're going to plug in whatever we want to plug into those variables. But first, more about me. I didn't know you were going to do such a good introduction, or I may have been a little more humble here. But anyway, I just want to tell you, so we'll get to the f of x and everything else, and there's no test at the end, so you don't have to worry about that. But I'm going to tell you my story in reverse, because I'm sort of at the end of my career, and I've had a great time. So I'm at the why part. I set those goals a long time ago. This will make sense as we go through it. But I set goals a long time ago, and I've achieved a great number of those goals. I'm really happy about that. And the palm tree, so my husband and I just accepted a call to go serve an LDS mission in Laie, Hawaii, of all places. Anyway, so we're excited about that, but it does mean wrapping up my my time here at UVU, and there's a little bit of, tenderness and so forth. But I want to share something. I had a terrific, and we'll see if this works, if I can get this to play. I had an amazing honor from people that I had worked with in the community last month. Start SLC, I don't know if any of you had heard about that. It's the technology companies. They got together. There were about 4,000 people in Salt Lake. They recognized a lot of technology startups and so forth. I was able to present one of the awards, and at the end of the presentations, the MC said, as I was leaving the stage, he said, "You need to stay at the back and then come back at the end." He said, "I'll call your name." And I thought, oh, there's some wrap up, there's some cleanup, I'm going to sweep the stage. I don't know what we're doing. But he told me to come back at the end. And they gave me a Lifetime Achievement Award, which was really touching to me. Didn't expect it. Makes me feel well. And then they did a little video thing. And I'm sharing this with you, not to brag, but because it's my why, okay? So let's see if this actually will work. Oh, sound is an issue. Let's see. And have we got audio here? Okay, there's always that, right?
Push audio there.
Audio.
And then room calm.
Is it this one?
Yeah, it usually won't get quite loud enough. If you
Okay, you know how to do
try this, because yesterday, on Tuesday, I had the same problem.
Okay,
Try it again now, see if it will go.
okay, I think.
Yeah.
And that's clear at
And
the
it can
top,
be, it'll
right?
be really loud if it's clear at the top. If
Okay.
it actually works. Let's see if it does.
All right. Whoop.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, it does work.
Try and loud it just a little.
Okay. Well, see, they whispered it, so it wasn't. Okay, where are we?
It's so frustrating.
What about this? That's at the. Okay. Can you even hear that? Probably not. Yeah, a little bit. Okay. Well, we'll just kind of skip through this then. Let me just show you a couple of faces. These are some of my good friends in the community. Ryan Westwood, who's an entrepreneur in residence here. The first one was John Richards. If you have an opportunity to take a class from John, do it. And Ryan is a young entrepreneur, just really moving and shaking a lot of things in the tech world. Steve Grizel, he fits his name, right? Love Steve, he's a great guy. Did you hear that? She gets things done. This is sort of like my affirmations. You all know what affirmations are, right? And you have to write your own. I mean, I don't know if you have to write your own. I had to write my own early in my career, in my life. But now people are writing affirmations for me. It's kind of like now I'm obligated to go ahead and die because here's my eulogy, right? But what a great thing to have. We'll just pause that because we love Steve. He's a good guy. But what an honor, and just really tender actually to me, to have my friends that I had worked with, say nice things about me. And again, it's sort of and they think they did it on their own. They think they came up with all of these words on their own. But I'll share a secret with you. I planted these words in their minds over the years, right? I would say, it was hard work, but it was worth it. And I labeled myself as a connector, right? When people say, what do? I say, I connect. Label yourself. Choose one or two words, label yourself with what matches up with and we'll get again into the why and so forth, but label yourself. She's a catalyst. I use that word a lot. Again, they think they came up with these things. No, they were repeating back for the film what I had told them, what I'd planted in their sweet little minds throughout the years of our friendship, right? Mentor. Yes, I've got to go. I'm so sorry. I have to go mentor one of the students. I have to go mentor. Use these words because you know what? If you don't promote yourself, not a lot of other people will. But if you do promote yourself, when people are asked about you, it's going to come back. It's going to come back. So encourages. I put no ego down here because if I had no ego, I would not be showing this to you, would I? Right? Of course I have an ego. But I was dealing with men, and when you go in to talk with men, you can't carry a big ego because they already brought one, usually, just saying. So, but yeah, these are the things, builder, I liked that one, but these are the words that I used when referring to myself. Well, we're building a program, we're building a community. Use these words, or whatever words you choose, but market yourself, brand yourself, use those words in conversation, plant those seeds. Yeah. Oh, there were 7 presenters on that video clip, and that meant that 6 of 7 called me a connector. I've got to have a talk with that 7th one. Make sure they get on, that they know what's going on. And 4 of 7 said that I supported them when they were doing something. Oh, okay, sure. Thank you. We're good with that. We know I had fabulous accessories, right? We want to have good sound. But so helps others, 7 of 7. Everybody said that. Now that's going to factor into our conversation a little bit later on. But yeah, mentors, there was only 1 of 7, because typically that's kind of a male role, right? I should have used that word maybe a little bit more, but interesting to see which words they used in referring to me. And plant those seeds in the minds of the people that you work with, in the minds of your family. You start out writing your own affirmations, you share those affirmations, and then other people will start reflecting those back to you, and you will become that person that you want to be, that you think about being. Okay, enough about me for a minute. Now about you. I really want to know your name and what you want to have happen in this hour. We've got an hour. You've invested time together to come. What's going on? And do you want these women to record, or can we just
we would probably
do this really quickly? Okay. Just tell me a few things. We won't do the name thing today, I guess. But tell me a few things that you want to have happen during this next hour. What are you looking for? Why did you show up? It's fairly good weather outside. So, why are you here? What do you want?
I really enjoy hearing success stories from women in business. Not that women in business starting out don't have good stories, but towards the end of your career, you have lots and lots of good stories. You always have experience, and you know what got you there.
Well, luck, a lot of times. But thank you. Knowing.
You can't say luck because
Okay.
in this discussion with Stand Out, or Lean In,
Yeah.
sorry. In this discussion, they said that women often say, oh, it was luck. I
Okay.
just got lucky. And men say, oh, I worked hard for it. So
Oh,
you should
good job.
say you worked hard for it. You
Own it. And I just did with the affirmation thing, right? And all of that. Thank you. But recognizing and taking advantage of opportunity, which can sometimes be called luck. But again, you've got to recognize that opportunity and take advantage of it and leverage that. Any other reasons that you showed up today? I mean, Anne's a pretty cool person, so you do want to be with her as much as you can, as much in her presence. Okay, so what the heck? What are we really talking about here? And we've got somebody that understands this, right? So we're going to go through this, and this is adapted from one of my mentors, and that's an important thing to do in your career, is to find a mentor. Josh Coates of Instructure. I've known him for a long time, and he's someone I really respect, and he just tells it like it is, so you've got to have a thick skin with him, but he's very honest and straightforward and incredibly intelligent and knows those patterns of success. And this is one of them, this pattern of success, understanding this. So in describing this a little bit more, what is the X? The X represents you now and what you're bringing into this room this very day. What are your skills, your technical skills? And I do want to know some of your technical skills, something that maybe you've spent a lot of time. Malcolm Gladwell refers to 10,000 hours in his book, Outliers. Good book to read. But what is a technical skill maybe that some of you have?
Come on, Carol, tell her about your calendar.
Tell me what you're doing, Carol.
I'm actually Kristen.
Oh, Kristen, excuse me. Okay.
I worked for Henry Schein for
Oh, wow.
many years, and so I sold their software for dentists.
Okay, so you've got sales skills and you understand software as well?
Right.
We can say that, right? Carol, I called your name. I mean, you got to have some skills here. There's a connection, right?
I have accounting skills.
Accounting skills. That's huge. Excel and Word, those are some great skills.
For a mining company, so I have a pretty good relationship with men.
Wow, very good. Those are some great technical skills. Yes,
I'm a massage therapist, so
we love you. Truly.
I have
Great.
people skills.
And people skills. Thanks for taking us into the next one. The managerial skills, understanding how to manage people, including yourself. You all showed up today. I was almost on time. But you all showed up today. You're managing your time. You're managing your life, that you could be here. You're wanting something out of school. You're moving forward. So managerial skills of other people and also of yourself. And there's kind of what's the groan here? What is your name? Stephanie. I just thought, ooh, what does that mean?
I have a personal issue, that's okay.
Oh, okay.
Nothing with this.
Okay. Yeah, personal issues you probably don't want recorded. I don't know. I'm just thinking. So managerial skills, the values that you bring in here. I mean, obviously my value is I value connecting. I value networking. I value people. I value entrepreneurship and all that has. So those are some of my values in the workplace. I also value integrity. There's no such thing as work-life balance. You've been through that, right? There's life and there's work, but there's not really balance. You just do what you can do. The resources. Now, I always love it when we have entrepreneurs come in and talk to some of our students, and they say, oh, I sold my business for millions of dollars. And the students say, but how did you get from where we are to selling a business for, millions or $1 billion? And sometimes that entrepreneur in their glory, and yes, they tend to be men usually, and they will say, oh, you just work hard, etc. What they forget to mention is maybe it was their dad's business that they sold, or their mom's. Sometimes there are resources available to people that are not available to everyone else. Find your resources, identify your resources, and leverage those. Look for the resources that you want to have to get you to your why, and go after those resources. Obviously, education, you get that, is a tremendous resource. And that's why you're here, getting that resource. And your obstacles. What about obstacles? Some people have a lot of obstacles. Some people, not so many. Their path is a little smoother. What about this obstacle? This is a class for women in success, women in business, being successful and happy, right? We just expanded the title. But what about obstacles? What obstacles do you see as a woman, or have you experienced in going after your career or working in a workplace situation or classrooms? Anything here? Yeah.
Well, as a massage therapist, I work in a very female-dominated business. But interestingly enough, a lot of massage therapists work for other people, big surprise, and those people that they work for are men. And so the fact that I own my own practice and I'm trying to expand is surprising to a lot of people because I don't fit that male stereotype for the business side of it.
Good for you. And so what happens? They're surprised, there's a stereotype. Can you elaborate a little bit on what the stereotypes are and how that impacts you in starting?
Well, I have a lot of people that I talk to that don't seem to think I have what it takes. They wonder if I've got, and they don't say a man, but if I have someone that's helping me with all of this and that, and they don't seem to think that I can do it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, interesting. Other obstacles maybe that's a very valid one. Anything else that maybe you've noticed? Let's listen to, we had good success with the other one. We're going to try this. Oh, we did say listen, didn't we? That was our key word here. Let's see if that's going to. Yeah. Okay. You know what? That would be great because Sheryl Sandberg, she's just one of my favorites. Have you had a chance to listen to her TED Talk?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe we've already had that conversation, but it would be great to get it in the film. But share some more about, and I will tell you, from my personal experience with entrepreneurship, I've probably worked with, we'll just go right over here for a minute. I've probably worked with about 3,500 small owners of small businesses when I was with the Small Business Development Center, and probably 20% of them were women. But when they came in, they typically had, and hooray for that, but typically they would have a service-oriented business. Are we good there? Like childcare, or, they wanted to, so two things, it would be service-oriented, and they were trading their hours for a certain amount of pay. So you're smart to leverage and have other people working for you. Scalability is an important thing in the entrepreneurial world. But the other thing that would happen is that they would talk, and actually this just happened again yesterday. A woman wants to start a child care business, and the first thing that she said, and she's not even in the business yet, she said, so that I can give money away and help these charities. Well, you got to make money before you can give it away. But I think that's very typical of the women entrepreneurs I've seen, is that they want to provide a service and they want to give away. And that's not always true of the males. Most male entrepreneurs are very interested in creating their own personal wealth. So there's just some differences, not good or bad. You've got to create the wealth to be able to give it away. But there are some differences. And I do love that Sheryl talks about this. And so maybe we'll go back to it again. No. Because she makes some great points here. And this is the one you've seen.
So for any of us in this room today, let's start out by admitting we're lucky. We don't live in the world our mothers lived in, our grandmothers lived in, where career choices for women were so limited. And if you're in this room today, most of us grew up in a world where we have basic civil rights. And amazingly, we still live in a world where some women don't have them. But all that aside, we still have a problem, and it's a real problem. And the problem is this: women are not making it to the top of any profession anywhere in the world. The numbers tell the story quite clearly. 190 heads of state, 9 are women. Of all the people in parliament in the world, 13% are women. In the corporate sector, women at the top, C-level jobs, board seats, tops out at 15-16%. The numbers have not moved since 2002 and are going in the wrong direction. Even in the nonprofit world, a world we sometimes think of as being led by more women, women at the top, 20%. We also have another problem, which is that women face harder choices between professional success and personal fulfillment. A recent study in the US showed that of married senior managers, 2/3 of the married men had children, and only 1/3 of the married women had children. A couple of years ago, I was in New York and I was pitching a deal, and I was in one of those fancy New York private equity offices you can picture. And I'm in the meeting, it's about a 3-hour meeting, and 2 hours in, there's kind of needs to be that bio break, and everyone stands up, and the partner running the meeting starts looking really embarrassed. And I realize he doesn't know where the women's room is in his office. So I start looking around for moving boxes, figuring they just moved in, but I don't see any. And so I said, so did you just move into this office? And he said, no, we've been here about a year. And I said, are you telling me that I'm the only woman to have pitched a deal in this office in a year? And he looked at me and he said, yeah, or maybe you're the only one who had to go to the bathroom. So the question is, how are we going to fix this? How do we change these numbers at the top? How do we make this different? I want to start out by saying I talk about this, about keeping women in the workforce, because I really think that's the answer. In the high-income part of our workforce, in the people who end up at the top Fortune 500 CEO jobs or the equivalent in other industries, the problem, I am convinced, is that women are dropping out. Now, people talk about this a lot, and they talk about things like flex time and mentoring and programs companies should have to train women. I want to talk about none of that today, even though that's all really important. Today, I want to focus on what we can do as individuals. What are the messages we need to tell ourselves? What are the messages we tell the women that work with and for us? What are the messages we tell our daughters? Now, at the outset, I want to be very clear that this speech comes with no judgments. I don't have the right answer. I don't even have it for myself. I left San Francisco, where I live, on Monday, and I was getting on the plane for this conference, and my daughter, who's 3, when I dropped her off at preschool, did that whole hugging the leg, crying, Mommy, don't get on the plane thing. This is hard. I feel guilty sometimes. I know no women, whether they're at home or whether they're in the workforce, that don't feel that sometimes. So I'm not saying that staying in the workforce is the right thing for everyone. My talk today is about what the messages are if you do want to stay in the workforce. And I think there are 3. 1, sit at the table. 2, make your partner a real partner. And 3, look at that, don't leave before you leave. Number 1, sit at the table. Just a couple weeks ago at Facebook, we hosted a very senior government official, and he came in to meet with senior execs from around Silicon Valley. And everyone kind of sat at the table. And then he had these 2 women who were traveling with him who were pretty senior in his department. And I kind of said to them, sit at the table, come on, sit at the table. And they sat on the side of the room. When I was in college, my senior year, I took a course called European Intellectual History. Don't you love that kind of thing?
Okay, we're going to stop that because I think we've kind of got the main points here. Let's talk a little bit about children. How stunning was that stat that 2/3 of the men who are successful in business have children, 1/3 of the married women in business have children. And that comes with a backpack of guilt, because if you stay home, you feel guilty that you're not working. If you're at work, obviously you feel guilty that you're not at home, right? Have you experienced that? What are some of the experiences that you all have had with that? Anyone with children? Yeah.
In sales, I went to all of the major dental trade shows throughout the country, so I was on the road once or twice a month. So typically I missed birthdays, holidays, day after Thanksgiving every year in New York. just on and on and on. So it is a huge sacrifice, and there were very, very few women that did what I did just because it was so demanding and time being gone away from the family. So I experienced that a lot.
Did you find a resolution to that, or how did you manage that?
Became really good friends with a lot of good guys.
Came friends with a lot of good guys. As far as the guilt with the kids and the family?
My husband was in the military, so that was
Okay.
a whole other thing. So
Yeah.
he's gotten quite a bit as well. So
That's a tough one.
a lot of family.
And that's a
And
good
I had
solution.
family, thank goodness, to be
Yeah.
able to fall back on.
See, and I think that's a critical thing, finding and leveraging that support. And if it means moving closer to family, then that's what you do. My daughter is living with us now so that we can kind of help take care of her little guy. I'm not sure what's going to happen on the mission. I thought they would come to Hawaii with us, right? Not so much, and you had a comment.
Oh, I was just going to say, I chose to, when I went to college, I was doing some modeling and acting on the side, and I chose to not continue to do that and concentrate on my college degree. And I ended up choosing early childhood education because, family was really important to me. It's part of my values and my value system. So I chose not to feel guilty and choose a career that would take me away from my children. And I ended up, staying home with them. And it's, however, with that choice, I ended up in a relationship with a verbally abusive man for 16 years. And I don't know why that happened, because I'm such a strong individual, and I made the choice to stay home. And my mom made the same choice, but my dad wasn't abusive. But for some reason, I married an abusive guy, and so I have to come out of that and to decide now what do I want to do. And that's a really tough place to be.
It's a very difficult place to be. Obviously I'm at the end of my career, so I've lived through some decades you guys probably have just only read about in the history books, right? But when I was growing up, there was such a focus, especially in this area and this culture, on getting married and getting married in the right way and so forth, and the white dress and all of those good things. And sometimes we didn't always talk about the right partner or the right time. We just focused on how important it was to get married, how important it was to have a family and so forth. Now, I'm very much with Sheryl Sandberg. I think we need to support women in whatever choices they make, whether it's to work and not have a family, to work and have a family, or to have a family and do that critical and most important work in the home, which is really difficult to do. Yeah.
On a personal note, having children, or later in life than most people do, it's been interesting to me to compare and contrast my experience working for this university as opposed to I worked for 5 other universities. So here I see a lot of the women that are in key leadership roles are either like empty nesters where their kids are already completely gone, or else they have, for lack of a better term, a house husband.
Yeah.
And those are the women that I see excelling at upper levels. And I feel that sometimes I'm a little bit criticized for the fact that I do have young children that I'm trying to balance everything with. I kind of get that, you need to just wait for your turn because you're also managing children. I'm thinking, well, I'm going to be 100 years old if we wait for that.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of implications that aren't necessarily addressed. It's very much a, yes, we support women kind of verbiage out front, but when you dig down into what's going on, there are some pretty interesting selection processes. Women that didn't ever choose to marry, women that don't have kids, or women that are well past those years. I've seen more and more of that. So I'm just quietly kind of watching and going, I'm not sure I agree with that. But I think that you can have it all, but maybe not all at the same time. So I'm trying to figure that out.
And that's the why, right? What you want to be in your future. Is family the most important? Then I will tell you something about family. Don't choose just to have children and just to get married. you better choose a way to be able to support yourself as well. Because, wow, we would love to say marriage always works and that you always find the right guy. That just isn't how the cards are stacked sometimes.
First child, you're stuck in that place.
Well, you're stuck taking care of that child. One of the pivotal moments in my life, my kids, I did marry well. My husband, bless his heart, is willing to help out at home and has been, yeah, woo, I won the lottery, right? And that's not happened for my daughter. This is her second divorce. Excuse me, Jenna, don't ever watch this and we'll be fine. But, you know, it's not worked well for her. And she's done a better job of being a human being than I ever did. So, I mean, if it was a reward system for husbands, she should be married to a really fabulous guy. Not the case. But you need to be able somehow, whether it's leveraging family support, whether it's doing that nonlinear thing that, I mean, I chose to, had the luxury of being able to step out of the workforce, raise kids, and then went back into the workforce. You talked about that, Anne. But prior to having children, prior to getting married, instead of focusing on marriage and children, you really need to focus on, as we tell our young daughters and our younger women in this class, you really need to focus on preparing yourself, because chances are really good, in fact, I don't even know, 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 that you will be supporting yourself and that child that you're stuck with. I mean, you know, right? 20 years, okay?
Well, if you're a committed person, you're stuck. You're stuck.
Right.
Not in a bad way, in a good way. You're stuck because you're committed.
You're committed. Well, and committed and stuck, those are two great words, and those, you better be.
I know if it's abusive or not, if you've never heard of abuse, I mean, I didn't ever hear of abuse at my, so people are much better off, you young people, you know what abuse is, you know what stuff is.
Respect, right?
I didn't know in my generation, I didn't know what verbal abuse was.
Oh, come on, we had Aretha Franklin back in the day, R-E-S-P-E-C-T, right?
I didn't know of it, I never.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Well,
It was ever clued me in.
again, you know, things change, because as I was growing up, it was all about get married, have kids, and that stereotype. That's just not accurate.
Well, you said a word that I think is a super critical word that I'm building into my life and into my business plans, which is nonlinear. I think
Yeah.
it's very old school thinking to think that you start with A, you go to B, then C happens, and D. It doesn't work like that at all. And this nonlinear ability to put different things in orbit at the same time, it
Mhm.
makes all the difference. It's not always easy. There are moments of friction. But I think, man, if you can just tell yourself, I got to throw a few balls in the air at the same time. I don't have to attach them all at the same time.
Good.
It has to be in the air.
And that's a great topic to and we end at 1:45, right? Okay. So as we talk about linear, again, when I grew up, this was sort of the norm. The world's really accelerated since then, and just keeps accelerating faster and faster. But it was that, you know, a guy would graduate high school, get married, do religious service maybe, or whatever, and then get married. Go to school, get a job, and progress through and upward on that job. And just move, you know, kind of the same job all the time, and promotion. Well, the sweetheart stays at home and does that. That's not the case actually for men anymore either, so much. I don't know that it's ever been the case for women so much, because we've been sort of conditioned. And we do want to keep the human race going. That's kind of a big deal. You know, there's a tremendous amount of value in raising children and investing there. And it is an investment. It's a commitment, and stuck fits as well, but it's very much an investment. But with women, if you take time out, you know, you very much have to leverage to get back into that, or you have to find a new entry point into that. Fortunately, and I love this when Sheryl Sandberg refers to it, that it's not really a ladder anymore. It's not that linear. It's a jungle gym out there. It's a jungle gym for the men, a jungle gym for the women. And that's actually good news for us, because that allows a lot more entry points. And there, again, as we go through this, we'll kind of build on itself. But so when we talk about Y, we've talked about X, that's you now. Y is where you want to go. And it's really critical, really important that you think about that you measure where you want to be. Vision boards are a big deal. I do love my vision boards. And they work. I'm just saying. So if you've not done one, get one. If you've not redone yours for a while, redo it again. You all know, and you've surely covered that, right? Your future, whatever you want to have happen in the future. I mean, this is your life. We have our children, and yay, they depend on us for the 20 years or so that they're around, if we're fortunate enough to have children and so forth. But they're not going to stick with us forever. We don't want them to do that, because that's not a healthy life. So we had a life before kids, we'll have a life after kids. Think about that as well, and what you want that to look like. And you're smiling. You must be looking forward to that time.
No,
where
I'm just
you're
laughing.
there.
My youngest is getting married, and they just keep bringing him home.
Well, we've got to, self-reliance is a big deal, right? And that's what we want to raise our children to be, is self-reliant, so that we can also be self-reliant.
I feel like we should be having classes that says the aftermath of what happened, to women.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, women, do whatever, but there's, the aftermath, and that's what a lot of women are dealing with, the aftermath.
Yeah, and that's why it's so critical. There are all these voices out there. There were voices when I was growing up that said, here are the expectations we have of you. Here's what you need to do to be successful. You have those same voices, right? Whether it's parents or friends or media. I mean, you got to be a size 6, right? I've been watching TV. I know what's going on. So I'm, oh, 0? 0's the new size 6? Okay. So, I mean, we watch the media. We're getting all these messages all the time. And instead of just blindly taking those in and saying, oh yeah, I will be happy when, or I will be successful when, you need to take time for you and just really think about where you only get one life, as far as I know. You get one life, and we don't even know how long that lasts, really. I'm so lucky to be standing here at this age still talking to you all, right? But we don't know how long that's going to be. It's your life. You need to take control of it. You need to decide what you want your why to be, what you want your life to look like. And you may want different things than maybe your parents want for you, or you may want the same thing. Different things than the media, or maybe the same. I don't know. But think it through. Spend some serious time what you want your life to look like at different stages, during the kid time and post-kids. Yeah.
Question about so you're the X, and the FX is the Y, and equals is the Y too. So what is the FX? What are you doing?
Look at you. You are just onto the next slide. The FX, and that's the important thing. F stands for function. What function does Y have to go through to become the, I just said that backwards. What function does the X have to go through to become the Y? You've got you now, you've got a vision board, right? And FX is the gap. What functions do we have to go through to get to where we want to be? And well, if you're there now, too bad for you. You should always set goals way beyond what you think you can achieve, right? We know that. Okay, yeah, I like this. So what functions have to occur to X to get to Y, or to create that Y? Do you have to add something into your life? What would that be? Maybe add more vision, add more resources, add more relationships. Be strategic. What do you need to get there? Because it's really great to just, grit your teeth and think about it really hard and get the best pictures and stuff on your vision board. But it ain't going to happen unless there's something that you add into your life to make it happen. What do you need to take out of your life? Maybe there are people who are toxic, right? And relationships. I mean, don't take them out. There's a bad connotation there. Yeah. Don't do anything illegal. Ooh, ouch. 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 That's hard.
It was actually, I was like rescued, you know, I felt like God rescued me because he made himself go out because
Wow.
I wouldn't. I'm a very committed person, I'm a loyal person.
Yeah.
I figured, you know, you always keep trying, you know, and I gave it my all. So I'm glad it happened that way, actually. As hard as it was for me to admit
Yeah.
it was 16 years of abuse for me,
Right.
I didn't know how to, you know, I just dealt with every day as best I could,
Yeah.
you know, but in the aftermath,
Mm-hmm.
there was abuse.
Life takes some crazy turns once in a while. And again, when we talked about looking for opportunities, usually those opportunities come in the form of challenges and problems and things that look like maybe even disasters to other people. You can sort of find opportunities there. It's very much a change of where you've been now. But again, if there are toxic relationships in your life, you need to look seriously at maybe, if you don't totally erase them from your life, maybe you minimize them, right? You don't, anyway, multiplying what? Your talents maybe, your resources, investing, creating a business as you're doing. There are a lot of things that you might want to multiply to get you from where you are now to where you want to be. And dividing. Now, what kind of things would you want to divide, you who have children or have had? The what? Time. You got to divide your time up with those children. What about chores? And our sweet partners, our husbands, our children, our co-workers and so forth. You want to divide some of those assignments up? I love the article that Sheryl Sandberg wrote about women who do too much office work. That there are women who, in order to be accepted and liked in the workplace, you know, they bring the cupcakes into the workplace, they make the coffee or get the cold water, or they take the notes all the time. They do the office housekeeping. How much do you think is that multiplying their time, or is that dividing their time in a bad way, or it's not respected in an office place setting much? I'll just say that. So dividing the duties. Oh yeah, the men do love it. Why not, right? It gives them time. You're taking notes, and it gives them time to make some good decisions. Yeah.
I was always told, work smarter, not harder, and to learn to delegate your authority.
Love it.
Being an effective manager does not mean taking on all of the tasks to prove that you can do everything.
Love it.
Delegating everything out so the job is done. And I do a lot of that at work.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a couple people say, well, aren't you the manager? And I said, well, I am, and that's why I have you.
Exactly.
Because you are here to do all those things that
Mm-hmm.
I have time for.
Mm-hmm.
And if I did them, it would just not let me focus on the really important things. So I delegate a lot of my paperwork out and a lot of my assignments, and I have somebody else do it for me so that I can focus on what matters.
Good for you. Setting those priorities and so forth. So this is just a simple way, looking at your life, really taking a serious look at that. And I love what you're saying. And working smarter, working harder. The guilt, you know what? It's going to help your kids be stronger. So let's kind of just even subtract the guilt out, right? Just totally take that out. Do your best. Make a U-turn when you need to do that. But the guilt, let's either act on it or get rid of it. Let's see, we talked about the messages and so forth. Sitting at the table, I like that one, making sure that you're adding your voice to the other voices. Making sure that your partner is carrying their load. We discussed that. And I do like this part, don't leave early. That's actually been really hard for me. I'm collecting hula skirts right now, right? But don't leave. Don't think about the kids and so forth. I think this is more about anticipating that that there's going to be a white knight that's going to come in and take care of you, so you don't have to take care of yourself. That's how I sort of interpret that one. So we're going to kind of wrap this up. Build your own report card. Remember, we started out with all of those nice things. See, there's no way I can stick around now. When somebody gives you a goodbye like that, you really have to leave. You're locked into leaving when they do that. But build your own report card. I shared with you that, you know, I kind of planted those seeds, and you don't have to do it loud and in your face and everything else. You don't have to wear a t-shirt or, you know, the logo shirt that says I'm cool or whatever. But do talk about your strengths and share that. Decide what you want to go after and then share that with other people. We kind of discussed that, but build your own report card and then share it with other people. Don't let other people label you. There are if there are stereotypes out there, you know, you can listen respectfully to what their opinion is, but then you can just come back and say, you know, interesting, but I see it as, and then you share your opinion. So you don't have to be disrespectful or in your face like that, but again, don't accept it. Don't just let people stick the labels on you. Create your own report card or your own performance appraisal. I always love that time when they say, you know, come in, because if you, so maybe your performance is right here, and we do know that from Sheryl Sandberg, men actually have more confidence and women have more competence, but we doubt ourselves, and men maybe be a little more, in general, maybe a little more confident than what their competencies would indicate. We do understand that, right? So what do we do about that? We don't dumb ourselves down, right? We just exude that confidence. So when you go into a performance appraisal, you know, push that confidence up. Well, I have this and this and this. Track your success, track your metrics, take really good notes on what you've done and what you've achieved. And that's actually a real key, whether you're meeting with potential investors or clients or whatever. Track your own success and then share that success. Quantify what you've done. I made over, you know, I was responsible for $5 million in sales in 2010, right?
Only as good as your last quarter, too.
No, who's putting
As
that
far
label?
As, no, I'm saying as far as most companies, if you're in sales, they look at your last quarter and it doesn't matter what you've done. So if you're at least able to track your successes in the past.
Right, and then put them on LinkedIn, right?
This is what I've done.
Yeah, and when you do your elevator pitch, you've got some metrics that you can back up, and it doesn't have to be just your last quarter. It can be your best quarter that you're talking about. Let's go for best, not last, okay? But yeah, you do that. You create your own report card, because you create your own report card. Now this is something I just love. This is actually called the Thomas Kilmann conflict mode, but I think it's the communication place. And I don't know, did we decide that our clicker works? Oh, it does. Look at this. I love the little red dots. Okay, position and define yourself. This is what we've been talking about. This is where we started out. You know now what your why is, where you want to go. You know what you've got to do to get there. Now look at this chart and decide where you fit on this chart. So there are a lot of people who choose to compete, especially in the workplace. They're going to take credit, maybe even when credit isn't due to them, but they've got to win at all costs. And they'll step on however many bodies that it takes to get there. That's a very old-style autocratic method of management. You know, I will punish you if you don't do what I need to have you do, and we're going to go out and crush our enemies. So there's competition there. There's withdrawal down here. Oh, I can't meet the expectations, you know, I'm ashamed of myself, I can't turn around, so I'm going to withdraw. And by the way, these things can be appropriate at different times, but we're talking again in generalities and where you want to sort of live your life. There are times that I'm going to take a weekend off and just go be by myself and think about things. So I'm going to withdraw, but in a healthy way. Yeah.
This is a stupid question, Polly. What is the difference? Is there a difference between the word withdrawal or withdraw? Is with the L on the end, is that a different word, or is that I don't understand the difference between those two words.
Well,
Withdrawal or withdrawal.
I suppose they're interchangeable to a, yeah, I suppose that they're a little bit, there's some overlap there. But to withdraw means to to position yourself. I'm going to withdraw from the fight. I'm going to withdraw from the accommodation. I'm going to go shut myself in my room, pull the covers up over my head, and, maybe take some medication that will knock me out for a while. But I'm tired of it, right? So I'm withdrawing, and that can be in healthy ways, and that can be in unhealthy ways. Just like competition can be healthy and unhealthy, right? So we've got to remember that with all of these things. So you can just say, I'm tired of the rat race, I'm done, I'm walking out on this marriage, I'm walking out on my kids, I'm quitting my job, I'm going to a beach in Hawaii, I'm withdrawing, I'm sorry, see, I'm leaving early, right? But so withdraw is a reaction. Accommodation. Now think about if we went with 80%, 20%. When I grew up, there were a lot of books out there on how to be a good wife. I hated every one of them. And I'm sure there was good information in those books. My mom, by the way, gave me most of those books. And I think was disappointed that hey, I've done my best, right? What can we say? But accommodating, right? You're making people happy. You're keeping people comfortable. You're keeping your children happy and comfortable and so forth. I kind of think that's not always good. I think there's more growth when there's some discomfort. I think when people have to get off the couch to turn the TV on or off and they don't have a remote, that's good for them, right? I think our job is not to accommodate people and to keep them happy and to keep them comfortable. It can be a good thing sometimes in healthy ways, but that's not where I want to live my life, is to be accommodating. And when you're in a workplace, and if you're too accommodating, you're going to get locked into that position. So when they need somebody to run out and, get more water or get more coffee or take the notes, guess what? You're going to be assigned that role, whether you wanted that or not. So don't live there if you don't want to be, don't act there if you don't want to have to be stuck there. Yeah. Did you have another comment? Oh, okay. Great. And compromise is okay. I'm going to give up something, you're going to give up something, and we'll settle on this. That's going to be fine. And there's a lot of compromise that goes into, we're going to stay together for the children, right? Or I'm going to keep this job because I need the retirement. I may not be really happy with it, but I need the benefits. So there's a compromise, giving up something. This is where most of the new jobs, that's why I love entrepreneurship and why I love especially tech entrepreneurship. You think about the new startups, Facebook, not a new startup, but relatively new. But these companies now, this is Bill Gates, right? And this is Sheryl Sandberg. Okay, talking too long here. But it's about collaboration. It's about building communities. And this is why this is such a wonderful time for you all to live and to function, because it is all about collaboration. It is about communities. I'm not so sure that the big paychecks and the big houses and the big cars, how much value does that have to the younger generation, to you youngers in the room? How important is that? What are some of your, what's highest on your value list to some of the youngers? What? Family is big, because family kind of makes you happy, right? Good, okay. And that's more important than maybe a big job or whatever. So respecting choices and so forth, making sure that you can take good care of those families, but it might be everybody collaborating there, right? So I think collaboration is sort of the new way to really manage, the best way to manage a venture, the best way to manage, I'm thinking, a home and a life. Any comments on collaboration or this? You like it, right?
I think it's always been that way, at least in my generation and every generation that I've come out of every decade. That's always the I think the key element to think the 80s, the team thing came out
Yeah.
of the 80s. So, just, it's always been.
It's always been there. But just be aware of where you're operating on this chart. If you're too accommodating, if you're withdrawing, whatever. Just be aware of where you're operating and where you're branding yourself, right? And when you talk with others, I love to collaborate, I love to whatever. So again, measuring your own performance, we talked about this, we talked about the U, actually that should be the Y, the U being confident. Let's add some confidence to the competencies that you've got. Your technical skills, don't ignore those. Get that 10,000 hours plus to become an expert in some kind of a technical field, whether it's massage therapy or accounting or sales. Sales is an important thing, or whether it's some kind of a, programming, whatever. Yes?
What does the 10,000 hours plus mean?
Okay, that's from Malcolm Gladwell and Outliers, that book. He claims that to really achieve expert status, it usually takes about 10,000 hours. So, and I kind of agree with that. And it's just important that when you claim that you've got a technical skill that you can actually back that up. That's kind of a big deal. Managerial skills, we talked about your values, multiplying your resources and dividing your obstacles, dealing with men and so forth, and understanding what is needed there, that you do want a position with men. You need to be respectful. You need to demand respect. Last week it was fascinating. I went to, again, it was that same meeting I told you about in Salt Lake with the 4,000 people, and a very well-known organization in this valley gave out a promotional item, and it was 2 ping pong balls in a very small baggie, and then it said, and this is disrespectful, but there was a card included, and it said, okay, we just gave you a pair, now sign up for this organization. Now the fascinating thing is this was done by a woman, approved by a woman, and I saw that and I thought, oh shoot, bad choice. Who wants to hold, just get rid of that, right? But I was so pleased that one of my friends, a male who actually runs a very successful conference on this campus every year, and he's highly regarded in technology circles, actually sent an email, took the time and sent an email to the person, to the organization that had done this, and called him out on it. And said, this sets us back, it's disrespectful, it just sets everything back. I was so proud of him, and I think that's what we need to do. And I think we need to encourage the men to do that as well. When we see a situation where there's disrespect, whether it's not listening or whether it's being actually, the abusive thing that you're looking at, we kind of need to step up and call it out, put a little light on it to kind of sanitize that situation.
I didn't really understand the implication of the negativity there. And what
Of the baggies. Good for you.
hear the whole thing. I didn't understand it. Can you explain it one more time?
How about we chat after class? Would that be okay? Because it referred to kind of a rude joke.
Oh, okay. I didn't get it.
Good for you. I'm so glad you didn't get it. That's a great, did I miss everybody on that? Did everybody? Okay, good for you. Okay, good. I mean, at least good that I made the point. Innocence among us, and I love it. I love it. But yeah, Victor wrote, I just loved it, that he called him out and he offered a solution, and he just said, I don't want to see this anymore. It's not good for the organization that held the event, right? So when we see these things, we need to call it out. And confidence, let's build our confidence. Let's support one another in whatever choices we make. And again, if Aretha Franklin were here, she'd be busting out R-E-S-P-E-C-T, right? Any other questions? Okay, I'm wrapping up. Thank you, ladies, for having me.